WWE just pulled off the most insane SmackDown in years by bringing back Randy Orton unannounced, debuting three massive talents in one night, and completely reshaping the entire landscape of their roster. But what's absolutely infuriating is that nobody's talking about how this wasn't just good booking. This was WWE flexing their financial muscle and raiding every other promotion's top talent to prove they're still the only company that matters. And the wrestling world needs to wake up to the fact that this aggressive expansion strategy is either going to create the most stacked roster in history or completely destroy the careers of dozens of wrestlers who'll get lost in the shuffle. I'm about to break down every shocking moment from this historic SmackDown, why Randy Orton's return after months away changes everything about the main event scene, how Trick Williams, Jordynne Grace, and Matt Cardona appearing on the same night signals WWE's new strategy of overwhelming audiences with star power, and why Tony Khan should be absolutely terrified right now because WWE just declared war on every other promotion simultaneously. Let me paint this chaos properly because the show opened with zero warning. Just Randy Orton's music hitting and the arena absolutely losing their minds. No announcement, no hype, no social media teases, just voices in my head, blasting through the speakers and the Viper walking out looking healthy, motivated, and ready to remind everyone why he's one of the greatest of all time. The pop was deafening, genuine surprise and excitement that you can't manufacture with promoted returns. Randy grabbed a microphone and delivered a promo that was equal parts thank you to fans for their support during his absence and warning to the SmackDown roster that he's back to reclaim his spot at the top. He didn't call anyone out specifically, didn't challenge for titles immediately, just made it clear that the apex predator is hunting again and everyone should be watching their backs. Classic Randy Orton, maximum impact with minimum words, letting his presence do most of the talking. But WWE wasn't done. Before Randy could even leave the ring, Trick Williams' music hit and NXT's most charismatic star walked out to a main roster debut that SmackDown audiences weren't expecting. Trick stood at the top of the ramp, pointed at Randy and said, "Yo, I've been watching you my whole life, but tonight, I'm standing on the same show as a main roster guy. Welcome back, legend, but this is MY time now." Drop in the comments immediately. Is WWE making a mistake by bringing back a veteran like Randy Orton while simultaneously trying to push new stars like Trick Williams? Or is this the perfect blend of established names and fresh talent? The booking philosophy here is crucial. The tension between Randy and Trick was immediate and electric. Randy just stared at Trick with that look that says, "Kid, you have no idea who you're talking to." While Trick had that confident swagger that made it clear he's not intimidated by legends. They didn't fight, didn't have a stare down that lasted forever, just acknowledged each other's existence and left audiences wanting to see that inevitable collision. Then, because WWE apparently decided one night to make everyone's head explode, Jordynne Grace's entrance music hit and the Impact Wrestling star walked out to absolutely insane reactions. For those who don't know, Jordynne's been the face of Impact's women's division for years, a legitimate badass who's had show-stealing matches all over the world. Her appearing on SmackDown wasn't just a debut, it was a statement that WWE's willing to work with other companies or straight up steal their top talent depending on your perspective. Jordynne cut a quick promo about how she's conquered every promotion she's been in and WWE is the last mountain to climb. She called out the entire SmackDown women's roster, saying none of them have faced anyone as strong, as tough, or as skilled as her. Bayley came out to challenge that claim. They had a face-to-face that was incredibly intense, and suddenly we've got a dream match that fans have been fantasy booking for years actually happening on WWE television. Question for the comments. Should Jordynne Grace's first major feud be against Bayley? Or should WWE save that match and build Jordynne with other opponents first? The booking decision here affects her entire trajectory. But wait, there's more, because Matt Cardona's music hit and the internet collectively lost its mind. For those living under a rock, Matt Cardona, formerly Zack Ryder in WWE, reinvented himself on the independent scene and became one of the most successful wrestlers outside WWE's system. His always-ready persona, his social media mastery, his ability to get over anywhere he goes made him a hot commodity. And now he's back in WWE, but not as Zack Ryder, as Matt Cardona, the character he created and owns. Matt came out looking like $1,000,000, literally covered in championship belts from various promotions, and cut a promo about how he left WWE, proved he didn't need them, became more successful than he ever was here, and now he's back on his terms. He said he's not here to reclaim his past glory as Zack Ryder. He's here to show WWE what they lost when they didn't see his potential. That's character work that immediately makes him interesting and gives him credibility. So in the span of one episode, SmackDown got Randy Orton back, debuted Trick Williams from NXT, brought in Jordynne Grace from Impact, and signed Matt Cardona from the independent scene. That's not normal booking. That's WWE making a statement that they're the only show that matters, and they'll take talent from wherever they want to stack their roster. The question everyone's asking is, why now? Why all at once? And the answer is probably competition and perception. EW's been signing talent. Impact's been building momentum. The independent scene is thriving, and WWE wants to remind everyone that when they decide to flex, nobody can compete with their resources. This is the wrestling equivalent of a flex, showing that WWE can have Randy Orton and steal everyone else's top people simultaneously. Drop your honest reaction. Is this the most exciting SmackDown in years, or is WWE being too aggressive and overwhelming audiences with too much too fast? Your first instinct here probably reflects whether you're a casual fan or a hardcore fan. Let's break down what each person's arrival means for SmackDown specifically. Randy Orton's return immediately elevates the main event scene. He's a 14-time world champion who can work with literally anyone and make them look like $1 million. Having him back gives SmackDown a legitimate top-tier veteran who can put over younger talent or work with established stars in dream matches. His presence makes everyone on the roster better just by being there. Trick Williams represents WWE's commitment to their developmental system finally paying off. He's everything WWE wants in a modern superstar. Charismatic, athletic, great on promos, connects with younger audiences, and has that intangible it factor that can't be taught. Moving him to SmackDown instead of keeping him in NXT forever shows WWE's finally willing to pull the trigger on their homegrown talent. Jordynne Grace brings legitimate women's wrestling credibility from outside WWE's system. She's proof that there are incredible female wrestlers thriving outside WWE who deserve the platform. Her signing, if it's a full-time deal and not just a guest appearance, immediately makes SmackDown's women's division more interesting and competitive. Matches with Bayley, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and others become instant must-see television. Matt Cardona represents redemption and evolution. He left WWE as someone they didn't see value in, became a huge star elsewhere, and now returns as that star rather than reverting to what WWE wanted him to be years ago. If WWE allows him to be Matt Cardona instead of trying to make him Zack Ryder 2.0, this could be one of the best comeback stories in wrestling. But here's the concern that needs to be addressed. SmackDown's only got 2 hours of television time. With this influx of talent on top of an already stacked roster, how does everyone get meaningful screen time? How do you feature Randy Orton, Trick Williams, Jordynne Grace, Matt Cardona, plus all the exist? The answer is you probably can't. Which means some people are going to get less TV time, some storylines are going to get rushed or dropped, and some wrestlers who are getting pushed are going to find themselves suddenly directionless because there's too much talent and not enough hours. That's the dark side of WWE's aggressive talent acquisition strategy. Question: which current SmackDown star is most likely to get lost in the shuffle with all this new talent arriving? This is harsh but realistic because not everyone can be featured prominently. The backstage segments throughout the rest of SmackDown were gold because you had existing roster members reacting to all these arrivals. LA Knight cut a promo about how he doesn't care who shows up, he's still the hottest thing going. Solo Sikoa and his Bloodline faction looked concerned that more competition means harder paths to championships. The women's locker room was buzzing about Jordynne Grace and what she brings to the division. These reactions are crucial because they ground the surprise arrivals in the existing storylines and roster dynamics. It's not just here are 4 new people, deal with it. It's here are 4 new people and here's how everyone you already care about responds to their presence. That's good storytelling that makes the debuts feel consequential rather than random. The main event of SmackDown featured a fatal 4-way match to determine the #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship, and it was absolute chaos in the best way. Bodies flying everywhere, near falls that had people on the edge of their seats, and then Randy Orton's music hit mid-match, distracting everyone and allowing one of the competitors to steal the win. Randy didn't interfere physically, just his presence was enough to change the outcome. That's brilliant booking because it establishes Randy as a major factor on SmackDown without having him wrestle on his return night. He's already affecting matches just by being in the building, which is exactly the kind of veteran presence that makes storylines more interesting. Everyone now has to account for Randy Orton being back when planning their own paths to success. Social media during and after SmackDown was absolute pandemonium. Every wrestling news site was scrambling to confirm details about contracts and future plans. Fans were losing their minds with hot takes ranging from WWE just won the wrestling war to WWE's going to ruin all these people within 3 months. The discourse was exactly what WWE wants. Everyone talking about their product and what it means. Tony Khan, AEW's owner, notably didn't tweet during or immediately after SmackDown, which is unusual for someone who usually has opinions about everything wrestling related. His silence speaks volumes about how significant WWE's power moves are. When WWE decides to go on an aggressive talent raid and bring back legends, it puts pressure on every other promotion to respond or risk looking minor league by comparison. Drop your prediction. Does AEW respond to this SmackDown by making their own big signings or returns, or do they stay the course and trust their current roster? Khan's response matters for the competitive landscape. Let's address the elephant in the room. Can WWE actually manage all this talent effectively? History suggests no, they can't. WWE has a terrible track record of signing people in waves and then having no idea what to do with them once the initial shock value wears off. We've seen talented wrestlers languish in catering, waste away on main event, or get released a year after being signed because creative had no plans for them. But maybe this time is different. Maybe with Triple H in charge of creative, there's a better understanding of long-term booking and roster management. Maybe the new regime actually has plans for everyone they're bringing in rather than just signing them to keep them away from competitors. We'll find out in the coming months. But skepticism is warranted based on WWE's history. The financial implications of this talent influx are significant. Randy Orton's probably on a premium deal given his status and experience. Trick Williams is coming from NXT, so his contract is probably already established but might get upgraded. Jordynne Grace and Matt Cardona are potentially getting substantial offers to leave their previous situations and commit to WWE. That's a lot of money being spent very quickly, which suggests WWE's confident in their financial position and willing to invest heavily in roster depth. From a competitive standpoint, this SmackDown sent a clear message to every other wrestling promotion. WWE can and will take your top talent whenever they want, and there's nothing you can do about it because they have resources nobody else can match. That's brutal but accurate, and it puts every non-WWE wrestler in a position of knowing that if they become valuable enough, WWE will come calling with offers that are hard to refuse. For Impact Wrestling specifically, losing Jordynne Grace, if this is a permanent signing rather than a temporary crossover, is devastating. She's been their most consistent women's star, someone who carries matches and draws attention to the promotion. Replacing her value is basically impossible without significant investment in building new stars. If WWE keeps raiding Impact's roster, Impact might not survive long-term. The independent scene's reaction has been mixed. On one hand, Matt Cardona's success and WWE return validates the path of leaving WWE, building yourself elsewhere and coming back stronger. On the other hand, it reinforces that question for discussion. Is it better for the wrestling business overall to have one super dominant company like WWE hoarding all the top talent, or better to have multiple strong companies competing for talent and viewers? There's arguments both ways. Randy Orton's first feud back needs to be carefully considered. He can't just randomly start wrestling mid-carders, he's too big a star for that. But he also can't immediately challenge for the world title and take opportunities from people who've been there week in and week out. The smart move is probably a program with Trick Williams or another rising star where Randy's experience and name value elevate the younger wrestler while Randy gets back into ring shape. Trick Williams' first main roster feud is equally important. He needs to be protected initially, racking up wins to establish his credibility, but he also needs to be challenged enough that victories feel earned rather than given. A program with someone like LA Knight, who's over but not necessarily being pushed to the main event, would be perfect for showcasing both guys without sacrificing long-term plans for either. Jordynne Grace needs to immediately be in title contention or challenging the top women on the roster. Anything less wastes her Impact Wrestling credibility and suggests WWE doesn't actually value her despite making the big signing announcement. She should be facing Bayley, Bianca Belair, or Charlotte within weeks, not working with lower-card women's wrestlers in throwaway matches. Matt Cardona's position is trickiest because he's returning rather than debuting for the first time. WWE needs to decide if he's a main event player, a solid mid-card act, or something in between. His promo suggested main event aspirations, but matching that rhetoric with actual booking is the challenge. A United States Championship program makes sense as a starting point to rebuild his standing. Final question. Rank these 4 people, Randy Orton, Trick Williams, Jordynne Grace, and Matt Cardona, in order of who you think will be most successful on SmackDown over the next year. Your ranking reveals your priorities and predictions. Share this video if SmackDown's talent influx has you excited for WWE's future. Hit like if you're concerned they'll waste these opportunities like they've done before, and drop your complete thoughts on each person's arrival in the comments. Because what WWE did wasn't just good television. It was a declaration that they're still the undisputed top of the wrestling world, and they'll prove it by taking everyone's favorite wrestlers and making them WWE superstars. Randy Orton's back, new stars have arrived, and SmackDown just became the most unpredictable show in wrestling. Whether that leads to sustained excellence or creative chaos remains to be seen, but right now everyone's watching, and that's exactly what WWE wants.